The forest was dark and cold. Shadows moved between the tall black trees. The air was heavy, filled with the sound of running feet and broken branches. A mother ran as fast as she could, her arms pulling her small daughter close. Behind them, cruel voices shouted and arrows cut the air. Her heart was beating so hard it felt like thunder in her chest. She looked back once, just for a moment, and saw the hunter's tall, armored figures with sharp helmets and glowing red eyes. Their bows were strong, their arrows fast. They laughed as they chased her. As if the hunt itself was a game, the little girl cried. Her voice soft but full of fear. "Mama, I'm scared," she whispered. The mother hugged her tighter, whispering back, "Don't look back. Just hold me." Her own arms were shaking, but she kept running. She had to. Her feet slipped on wet leaves, her breath came like fire. She knew she could not run forever. The hunters were many. She was only one. She had no weapon, no shield, no chance, but she had her daughter. And for her daughter, she would fight to the last breath. Then the moment came. The sound of 100 arrows filled the air. Sharp like the hiss of angry snakes, the hunters had stopped chasing. They had raised their bows. They were ready to end the hunt. The mother looked down at her child. The girl's eyes were wide, tears shining. In that instant, the mother made her choice. She turned, throwing herself over the girl. Her body covering her completely, she closed her eyes. Waiting for the pain, the arrows flew. But they never landed. A strange silence fell. The mother opened her eyes in shock. The arrows hung in the air. Frozen only a hand's length away, the girl gasped. The hunters shouted in surprise, confusion spreading through their ranks. And then he stepped forward from the shadows between the trees. A figure appeared. His steps were slow, steady, as if he had walked this path many times before. He was tall, but not like the hunters. His body was strong, but simple. His face scarred, but calm. He wore no heavy armor. Only torn clothes, stained by battles long past. In his hand, he held nothing but a small metal rod. The mother's breath caught in her throat. She had never seen anything like him. He was not of her people. His skin was different, his eyes brighter. His presence was heavy, like the earth itself. The hunters whispered among themselves. One word repeated, rising like a curse. "Human." The little girl peeked from under her mother's arm. Her voice shook. "Mama, what is he?" The mother could not answer. She had heard the old stories. She had heard of creatures called humans. Warriors who fought like fire, but those were only legends. They were supposed to be gone, lost to time. The hunters lowered their bows, their leader stepping forward. His voice was harsh. "This is not your fight. Human, leave the prey, walk away, or die with them." The human did not move. His eyes were locked on the mother and her child. His lips opened, his voice deep and steady. Each word cut through the cold night like steel. "Children are not prey." The hunters laughed. Their leader raised his hand. "Then you will die first." With a scream, they fired again. A storm of arrows filled the air. But the human was already moving, his hand lifted, the small rod flashing with sudden light. The arrows shattered in midair, breaking like glass. The little girl's mouth opened in wonder. The mother pulled her closer, unable to believe what she saw. The human walked forward slowly, step by step, his eyes never blinking. Never afraid, the hunters took a step back. Some muttered in fear, others shouted for courage. The mother whispered softly, "Who is he?" The little girl whispered back, "He saved us," but the mother felt the truth was larger. Much larger. Something old had returned, something her people had forgotten. And whatever this human was, he was not finished yet. The hunters raised their weapons again. The forest shook with their war cry. The human raised his head. And for a moment his eyes seemed to shine with a light not of this world. The battle was only beginning. The hunters did not run, not yet. Their armor glowed faintly in the dark forest, their eyes bright red as they circled the human. The arrows had broken like dry sticks in front of him. But they did not believe. Not fully. They had numbers. They had strength, and they had pride. They would not be afraid of a single man. The human stood silent, his chest rose and fell slowly. As if the fight had not touched him, his hand still held the strange metal rod. But he did not swing it. He did not need to. His eyes spoke louder than any weapon. The mother lay weak on the ground. Her body shaking, she pulled her daughter close, whispering for her to stay quiet, but the child could not look away. Her gaze was fixed on the human. He was not like the hunters. He was not like her people either. He was something different. Something dangerous. One hunter laughed, his voice sharp like broken glass. He stepped forward with his long blade. "You are nothing but a shadow of an old story, human," he sneered. "Your kind is dead. Your bones are dust." The human did not answer. He simply stepped between the mother and the hunter, blocking the path with his body. He raised his hand once more. The hunter slashed. But his blade met only the strange light that flashed from the rod. Sparks filled the air. The hunter was thrown back against a tree. His armor cracking, the forest went silent again. The hunters stared, their whispers turned into fear. One word passed through them like fire. "Impossible," the child's small voice broke the silence. "Mama, is he here for us?" Her eyes were wide, filled with wonder and fear together. The mother could not answer. Her own heart trembled. Legends said humans were gone, destroyed long ago. But here he stood, breathing, fighting, protecting. The leader of the hunters growled. His voice echoed, "Hold your ground. He is alone. He bleeds as all creatures bleed." He raised his arm, signaling more of his warriors to advance. The human spoke then, his words slow, clear. "You should leave." His tone was not a threat. It was not even anger. It was something deeper. A warning. The hunters laughed, but the laugh was hollow. Behind the sound, there was unease. Still, they charged. Their feet shook the earth. Their weapons raised high. The human moved. His speed was like the wind. His hands struck, his rod flashed. And the hunters fell one by one. Not dead, not all of them, but broken. Their weapons shattered, their pride crushed. The forest filled with the sound of cracking wood and metal. The child gasped, hiding her face in her mother's chest, but still peeking through small fingers. She could not stop looking. He was terrifying, yet he was saving them. At last the hunters stopped. Their leader called them back. His eyes narrowed, his voice lowered. "This is no ordinary man. He is one of them." The human did not chase them. He simply stood still, his chest rising with calm breaths. The light from his rod faded, leaving only the sound of leaves and wind. The mother tried to rise, but her leg was bleeding from the arrow wound. She fell back, pain spreading through her. The child cried, "Mama, don't move." The human finally turned. For the first time, his eyes looked at them closely. His face showed no fear, only quiet strength. He knelt by the mother. His hand hovering over the wound, she flinched, afraid. But then a soft warmth spread where his hand touched. The bleeding slowed, the pain softened. The mother's lips trembled. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you help us?" The human's eyes stayed on the child. His voice was low, steady. "Because no child should cry alone." The daughter's breath caught. Her small hands clung to her mother's arm. Her fear faded just a little. She whispered, "Mama." "He is kind." The hunters in the distance regrouped. Their leader shouted for reinforcements. Soon, more would come. The sound of horns echoed through the trees. The human stood again, his eyes lifting toward the dark forest. He spoke softly, but his words were filled with iron. They will not stop, they will bring more. He looked down at the mother and child. You must come with me. The mother shook her head. We don't know you. Her voice was weak but firm. We cannot trust you. The human said nothing. His gaze met hers, steady and unbroken. In his eyes there was no cruelty. Only a quiet truth. Finally, he said. Trust is not a choice tonight. If you stay, you die. The forest roared again with the sound of the hunters returning, their footsteps. Their horns, their weapons, they were many. The night itself seemed to close in. The child clung tighter to her mother. Her eyes wide with fear, her voice small. Mama, please. Let's go with him. The mother looked at the stranger one last time. She saw his scars, his steady hands, his calm breath. He was not like the hunters. He was not like anyone. And though her heart screamed with fear, another voice whispered that he was the only chance. She nodded weakly. Take us. The human bent down. Lifting her with ease, his arms strong. The child followed. Holding on to his torn clothes, the forest behind them shook with the voices of hunters. But ahead, the path was dark and unknown. The human stepped into it without fear, and the mother thought, maybe the old stories were not just legends after all. Maybe humans had never truly vanished. The forest was no longer quiet. The sound of horns shook the trees. Shadows moved fast among the branches. More hunters had arrived, stronger, fiercer. Their armor shone in the moonlight, their eyes burning like fire. They came with heavy blades, long spears, and bows taller than the girl herself. The human stood in front, the mother weak in his arms, the child clutching his torn clothes. He placed the mother gently on a fallen log, his voice calm but sharp. Stay behind me. The child nodded quickly. Pulling her mother close, the hunters formed a wide circle, their leader stepping forward with a cruel smile. You fight well for a ghost, he sneered. But you will not stop us all. His voice was filled with pride, his soldiers raising their weapons high. The human said nothing. His rod of metal flickered with light. He shifted his stance, steady as a mountain. His eyes never left the enemy. Then the attack began. Arrows filled the sky once more, but the human's arm moved like lightning. His rod flashed, cutting the air. Arrows shattered into sparks before they could land. The child gasped, her eyes wide. It was like watching the storm itself bow to him. Two hunters charged from the left, their spears thrust forward. The human turned smoothly, knocking one spear aside. His other hand struck the hunter in the chest. Armor cracked. The warrior flew back against a tree. The second hunter swung his weapon, but the human ducked low and slammed his shoulder into him. The force broke the ground beneath their feet. The circle of hunters roared. Anger mixing with fear, they rushed all at once. Blades flashing in the moonlight. The mother held her daughter tight. Whispering prayers, her breath came fast. She could not look away. The human moved like no creature they had seen. His feet were fast, his strikes heavy. He used no shield. Yet every weapon that touched him was broken. Every strike he gave was final. He was not fighting like the hunters. He was fighting to protect. One hunter tried to flank him, slipping past the chaos. He ran toward the mother and child. His blade high, the little girl screamed. The mother tried to shield her. But the human was faster. In a blink, he was there. His body slamming into the hunter. His rod smashed down. The blade broke. The hunter fell without a sound. The girl's tears turned to shock. She whispered, "He saved us again." Still, the hunters kept coming. Their leader shouted in rage, "Do not fear him. He bleeds as all do. His soldiers obeyed. Surrounding the human, they struck from all sides. This time, one blade cut across his shoulder. Blood spilled. The mother gasped. The girl cried out. He's hurt, but the human did not fall. His face did not change. He fought harder, stronger. His strikes shook the ground. The hunters began to falter. Their confidence broke. They had never seen a man fight like this. Never seen wounds ignored as if they were nothing. They whispered among themselves. The old word returned. Human, they hissed. The human is real, the leader roared. His pride burned hotter than fear. He drew a great sword, its blade glowing red. I will end this, he shouted, rushing forward. His strike came down heavy as thunder. The human raised his rod. Sparks lit the night as steel met steel. The ground cracked beneath their feet. The shockwave shook the trees. The mother shielded her daughter from flying leaves and dust. The duel raged. The leader swung again and again. His strength was monstrous. But the human met every blow. His movements slower now. Blood running from his shoulder, but his eyes never broke. Finally, with a sharp twist, the human struck. The leader's sword snapped in two. The rod pressed against his chest. The leader fell to his knees. Defeated, the other hunters froze. Their voices rose in fear. It's true. He is one of them. He is a human. The human stood over the fallen leader. Breathing hard, his rod lowered slowly. His eyes swept the circle. And in a low voice he spoke, "Leave now, or none of you walk away." The hunters hesitated. Their pride wanted to fight, but their fear was stronger. One by one, they stepped back, dragging their wounded with them. Their leader growled in rage, but gave the signal. They melted into the forest shadows. Their horns silent, silence returned. The only sound was the heavy breath of the human and the soft crying of the child. She ran to him, her small hand reaching for his torn arm. "You saved us," she whispered. "You saved Mama and me." The human knelt down. His eyes soft for the first time. He touched her shoulder gently. His voice quiet. "I told you, children are never prey." The mother's eyes filled with tears. She looked at him with wonder and fear mixed together. She whispered, "Who are you?" The human's gaze darkened. His answer slow, heavy. "I am the last of what was lost." The forest seemed to shiver at his words. The fight was over, but the danger was not. More hunters would come, and now the mother and daughter knew this was only the beginning. The forest was quiet again, but it was not safe. The human stood tall, though his shoulder bled. His eyes scanned the trees. Listening for movement, the hunters had gone, but their horns had promised more would come. He knew this night was not finished. The mother sat weakly on the fallen log. Her arm wrapped around her daughter, her face pale with pain. Her wound burned, but it was not deadly, thanks to the strange warmth the human had given her. The child clung tightly, looking from her mother to the stranger. Her eyes wide, full of fear and wonder. The human walked to them, his steps steady. He looked at the wound again, his fingers pressing gently near the blood. "You can walk, but not far," he said quietly. His words simple, his voice steady. The mother lifted her chin, whispering, "Why are you doing this? You don't know us. You don't belong here." The human's eyes met hers. "Calm, unreadable, because you called for help," he answered. "And because your child should not grow up in fear," the girl's breath caught. She whispered softly, "He heard us, Mama." He came. The mother wanted to argue, wanted to demand answers. But the sound of horns rose again in the distance. Deeper, closer, the hunters were gathering once more. Stronger, angrier, the human turned, his eyes narrowing. "We move now." His hand reached out, lifting the mother easily, despite her protest. His strength was steady, as if her weight was nothing. The daughter ran close beside him. Her small feet, quick but clumsy, they moved deeper into the forest. Branches scratching, leaves breaking underfoot. The moonlight fell in sharp beams through the trees. Painting silver lines on the ground behind them, the horns grew louder. The enemy hunting once again, the child whispered as she ran. "Where are you taking us?" The human's voice was low. "To safety," the mother frowned. "There is no safety." "Not from them." The human glanced at her. His eyes glimmered with something old. "Something heavy. There is always safety," he said. "If you know where to look." After a long run, they reached a dark cave. Hidden behind thick vines and stone, the human pushed the vines aside and guided them in. The cave was deep, the air damp and cold. Drops of water fell in slow rhythm from the ceiling. Echoing like quiet drums, the child shivered, holding her mother's hand. "It's dark," she whispered. The human knelt, his rod glowing faintly with soft light. It filled the cave with a pale glow, shadows dancing on the walls. The child's fear eased, her eyes wide with wonder. The mother studied him carefully, her voice low. "You are human." He looked at her, but said nothing. His silence was an answer by itself. She whispered again, "We were told humans vanished long ago. Lost in wars across the stars. Some say your kind destroyed itself. Some say the universe destroyed you." The human's jaw tightened. His eyes looked away into the cave's darkness. His voice quiet, heavy. "Stories are only pieces of truth." Before she could ask more, the sound of footsteps echoed outside. The hunters had found the trail, their voices loud, cruel. The horns shook the ground again. The child pressed against her mother, whispering, "They're here." "Mama," the human stood, his light fading. He looked back at them. "Stay hidden. Do not move until I return." The mother grabbed his arm. "No, you cannot fight them all. You are bleeding. You will die." His eyes met hers, steady, cold, but not cruel. "Then I will die standing," he said. "But they will not touch you." The child shook her head, tears in her eyes. "Please don't go," she whispered, her small hand clutching his torn sleeve. The human paused, his eyes softened for a heartbeat. He crouched to meet her gaze, his voice lower now, gentler. "Children deserve tomorrow," he said. "That is why I fight." He turned and stepped toward the mouth of the cave. The vines swayed as he passed. His figure became a shadow against the moonlight. The mother and daughter clung to each other in silence, their hearts pounded with fear and hope. Outside, the sound of hunters grew closer. Weapons clashing, laughter cruel. The girl whispered in a trembling voice, "Mama, will he come back?" The mother pulled her close. Tears burning her eyes, she whispered, "I don't know. But I believe." Then the forest exploded with sound. A roar like thunder shook the night. A flash of light lit the trees. Screams echoed. Metal clashed. The human had met the hunters, and the cave shook with the storm of his fight inside the cave. The child pressed her face into her mother's chest, listening to the chaos outside. Her mother held her tightly, whispering, "Do not fear. He is human." The sounds of battle grew louder, fiercer, the fate of the stranger, the mother, and the child now bound together in that cave of shadows. They realized the fight was far from over. The night still held many secrets, and the hunters were not done. The cave shook with every sound of battle outside. Screams of hunters echoed through the forest, mixed with a roar of fire and the crash of stone. The mother and daughter clung to each other, their breaths shallow, afraid to even whisper. Then silence fell. It came suddenly, heavy. The forest outside went quiet. The night was still. The child raised her head, her small eyes wide. "Mama," she whispered, "did he win?" The mother listened. Her heart pounded. She could not answer. She feared the silence more than the noise. Silence could mean victory, but it could also mean death. At last, the vines moved. A shadow stepped into the cave. The rod of metal glowed faintly again. The human returned, his clothes torn, blood on his arms. But he stood tall. His chest rose with steady breaths. The girl gasped with relief and ran to him. Her arms wrapped around his leg. "You came back," she whispered. Her voice shook. "I thought you would not." The human looked down, his eyes softened for a heartbeat. He placed a hand on her small shoulder. "I told you," he said. Children are never prey. The mother watched him, her eyes sharp even through pain. She spoke softly but firmly. "You are not ordinary. No man can do what you do. No man should even be here. Tell me, who are you?" The human's gaze lowered. His jaw tightened. For a long moment he did not answer. Only the sound of dripping water filled the cave. Finally he said, "I am human." The mother's breath caught. Her hand gripped her daughter tighter. "Human," she whispered. "That word belongs to legends, to myths told by firelight. Our elders say your kind burned the stars themselves. They say you vanished when the wars ended, that you destroyed each other." The human's eyes darkened, his voice low, heavy. Legends often hide truth inside lies. The child tilted her head, her voice innocent but curious. "Then, what is the truth?" The human sat on a rock near them, his body weary but his eyes sharp. He stared at the dim glow of his rod as if remembering something far away. "The truth," he began slowly, "is that humans did not vanish. We were hunted, broken, scattered across the stars. My people bled so others could live free. But when the war was over, they called us monsters. They feared us. So they erased us." The mother's lips parted in shock. "Erased," she whispered. "How can an entire people be erased?" The human's eyes lifted. Meeting hers with fear, he answered, "Fear is the sharpest blade." The cave fell silent. The child's small hands clung to her mother's dress. Her eyes filled with both fear and wonder. "So, you are the last," she whispered. The human's jaw clenched. His silence was louder than any word. The mother studied him, her mind racing. If what he said was true, then every story told by her people had been wrong. Humans were not gone, at least not all of them. One stood before her now, bleeding but unbroken. Before she could speak again, the forest outside stirred. Voices of hunters returned, distant but clear. They were searching still. They had not given up. The human rose quickly, his rod flashing with soft light. "They are not finished," he said, his voice sharp again. "They will hunt until you are gone. They will not stop for mercy." The mother swallowed hard, her eyes filled with dread. "Then what do we do?" The human's gaze turned deeper into the cave. Shadows stretched far back, the tunnels winding like veins in the earth. "We go further," he said. "There are paths here they do not know. Old places forgotten," the child whispered. "Will it be safe?" The human looked at her, his voice quiet. Safe enough. They followed him deeper into the cave. Their footsteps echoed. The air grew colder. The walls twisted with strange markings, old carvings long hidden. The mother touched one with her hand, her voice soft. "These symbols, they are not ours." The human glanced at them, his face unreadable. "No," he said, "they are ours." The mother stopped, staring at him. "Yours," she whispered. Humans carved these. His eyes met hers, shadows flickering across his scarred face. "Yes," he said. "We have walked these caves before, long ago. Before your people even knew this world." The child gasped, wonder lighting her eyes. You were here first. The human silence was confirmation. His steps did not slow. The mother's mind spun with questions. Her voice shook as she whispered, "If you were here before us, then why return now? Why save us?" The human's eyes hardened. His grip on the rod tightened. "Because the hunters are not the only danger coming," he said. "The stars are moving again, and when the stars move, war follows." His words echoed in the cold cave like thunder. The mother felt a chill deeper than any wound. The child clung tighter to her, sensing the weight of his warning. The path twisted deeper into darkness. The human leading, the mother limping, the child clutching both. Behind them, the hunters called, their voices cruel. Ahead of them lay secrets buried for ages, and the truth of why a human had returned to a galaxy that thought them gone. The cave walls shook with the sound of horns. The hunters had returned, louder, fiercer. Their voices echoed like thunder through the tunnels. The mother and daughter froze. Their hearts pounding, the human's face hardened. His eyes glowed faintly in the rod's pale light. "They found us," the mother whispered, her voice trembling. "There are too many." The human stood tall, his grip on the rod unshaken. "Numbers do not decide every battle," he said quietly. "Will does." The child's small hand clung to his torn clothes. Her eyes filled with fear. "You are bleeding," she whispered. "You cannot fight anymore." The human looked at her. His expression soft for only a moment, "As long as I breathe." "I fight," he answered, his voice steady. The hunters poured into the cave entrance, their armor glowing, their blades drawn. They shouted war cries, their red eyes burning like fire. The leader raised his hand and pointed into the cave. "Kill the human, take the girl alive," the mother gasped. Pulling her daughter back, "They want her," she whispered. Why her? The human did not turn, his eyes locked on the enemy. "Because she is hope," he said simply. Then the cave roared with battle. The hunters rushed forward, their weapons striking against stone. The human charged to meet them, his rod flared with bright light. Arrows shattered, spears broke in half. The clash echoed through the tunnels. He moved like a storm. Each strike was heavy, each motion precise. One hunter fell, another screamed. Sparks lit the darkness. The child watched in awe and fear, whispering, "He fights like the stories. He fights like the legends." But the hunters were endless. For every one that fell, two more came. The leader's voice filled the cave. "Bleed him, break him. End the last of his kind." The human shoulder bled heavily. His chest rose with labored breaths. Yet he stood. He struck again. His rod cracked armor, crushed weapons. The floor shook with every blow. The mother pulled her daughter behind a stone pillar. She held her tightly, whispering, "Stay down. Do not move." But her own eyes could not leave the human. She had never seen such will, never seen such fury mixed with mercy. The hunters pressed harder. A blade cut across the human's side. Blood splashed against the stone. He staggered. The child cried out. "No." Her voice filled the cave. The human fell to one knee. His rod dimming, the hunters cheered. Their leader stepped forward with his great blade raised high. "It ends tonight," he roared. The mother's scream cut through the cave. Her voice, desperate, "Please, help us." And in that cry, something stirred. The human's head rose slowly. His eyes burned with light, brighter than before. His breath came deep and strong. He pushed against the stone, rising once more. His voice rolled through the cave like thunder. Humans do not end on their knees. He moved faster than before. His rod blazing like fire, he struck with power that shook the cave walls. The leader's sword shattered in his hands. Hunters flew back, their armor breaking like glass. The child gasped, tears streaming. He "He cannot fall," she whispered. Her mother held her close. Unable to speak, her heart trembling, the human fought with everything he had. Blood covered him, but he moved with unbreakable will. For every wound he took, he gave back a strike that ended another hunter. His body weakened, but his spirit rose higher. At last, only the leader remained, his armor broken, his eyes wide with fear. He stumbled back, shouting, "You should not exist. Your kind should be ash." The human stepped closer, his rod glowing brighter. His voice low but sharp as steel. "Humans are fire. And fire cannot be erased with one final strike." The rod slammed down. The leader crashed against the stone floor. Defeated, his voice silenced, the cave was still. The last echoes faded into the darkness. Only the sound of the human's heavy breathing remained. He stood trembling, blood dripping from his wounds. But still alive, still standing, the child broke free from her mother and ran to him. Her small arms wrapped around his waist. "You did not fall," she whispered. "You saved us." The human placed his hand gently on her head. His voice weak but steady. "No, you saved me." The mother limped forward, her eyes wide with awe, her lips trembling. "Why," she whispered, "why fight for us when the universe has turned its back on you?" The human looked at her, his eyes filled with both sorrow and strength. "Because someone must," he said, "if humans do not protect." "Then what are we?" The cave lights flickered. The silence deepened. The battle was won. But the cost was heavy. The human stood bloodied, broken, but unyielding. And the mother knew, with fear and wonder, that this man was not just a survivor. He was a reminder, a spark of something her people had long forgotten. The last of humanity was not only alive, he was unbreakable. The cave was silent after the storm of battle. Broken weapons lay scattered across the stone floor. Blood stained the ground. The hunters were gone, their leader fallen. Yet the human still stood, his body trembling, his breath heavy. His wounds were deep, but his spirit refused to break. The mother and daughter stayed close, their eyes never leaving him. The girl's small hands still clung to his side, as if her touch alone could keep him standing. The mother's voice shook. "You should be dead. No one could survive what you faced tonight." The human lifted his head, his eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. His voice quiet but firm. "Humans do not die easily. Not when there is something left to protect." The child's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "You fought for us, but why?" "We are strangers." The human looked down at her, his face scarred but soft in that moment. "Because a child's life is not a small thing," he said. "It is the start of everything." The mother's breath caught, her heart heavy. She had feared him at first, but now she saw something more. He was not just a warrior. He was hope in flesh and blood. But the cave shook again. This time not from hunters. The sound was deeper. Older, the stones groaned. Dust fell from the ceiling. The human's eyes narrowed, his hand tightened on the rod. "They are not finished," he said. "The hunters were only the beginning." The mother gasped. "What do you mean?" The human looked toward the darkness, his gaze far away. "Your people were not told the truth," he said. "The war that erased my kind never ended. It only slept, waiting. The hunter served something greater, something that fears humans more than any other." The child shivered, pressing into her mother, her voice tiny. "Then what happens now?" The human crouched, meeting her gaze, his eyes steady. "Now you live," he said. "Because you must carry this story. You must remember what you saw tonight. Humans fought for the stars once, and we will fight again." The mother's eyes filled with tears. "You cannot keep fighting alone," she whispered. "You will die. And then your people's memory dies with you. The human's lips curved into the faintest smile. His voice calm, humans are never alone. Even when only one remains, we carry all who came before. Every battle, every sacrifice, lives inside us. The cave shook again, louder. The sound of distant horns mixed with something stranger, deeper, like thunder rolling across the stars. The human stood, his body unsteady but his will unbroken. He looked back at them. You must go now. The mother shook her head. We cannot leave you. The human's eyes softened. His voice quiet. You must, if you stay. They will take you, and all this will be for nothing. The child's tears fell. She held his hand tightly. Please come with us, she whispered, her voice breaking. The human knelt and pulled her close. His blood stained her small hands. But she did not let go, his voice low, steady. If I fall, remember me. Tell your people that humans were not monsters. Tell them that we bled so children could live free. That is all I ask. The mother's voice trembled. And if you live, the human's eyes burned brighter, his voice firm. Then the galaxy will remember why it once feared us. The ground cracked. The cave roared with approaching enemies. The human rose tall, his rod blazing like fire. He turned toward the shadows, his voice echoing through the stone. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. The mother pulled her daughter close, leading her toward the hidden path deeper in the cave. Her eyes burned with tears, her heart heavy with both fear and hope. As they left, she turned one last time. She saw him standing, broken but unyielding. A lone figure holding back the dark. The child's voice was a whisper in the darkness as they fled. Mama, what will happen to him? The mother's answer was quiet. Trembling but strong, he is human, she said. And tonight, we learned why humans once ruled the stars behind them. The cave lit with fire. The roar of battle rose again. One man against an army, one human against the dark. And though they could not see the end, they knew his story would never die. Because legends are not born from peace. They are born from men who stand when no one else will, and the last human still stood.